Welcome to the Endless Honeymoon Podcast. My name's Moshe.
I can't believe this is the year we can't get massages. Like, it's been like a year and a half.
Oh, you
like
mean
the most stressful,
the most massage necessary year in recorded history?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I just feel like my neck is tense. I'm like constantly like giving myself like a massage on my cranium. You know, my shoulders are really tense.
Do you often call your head your cranium? Is that something that you...
What's the base of the base of my neck, like that, or the base of my head?
Isn't your cranium the whole skull?
I don't know, but I just know that I need a massage.
Well, unfortunately, there's no one in your life right now that can offer you that service. You don't have anybody nearby that could...
Moshe, you are not a good massage person.
Why?
Immediately start saying your thumbs hurt. It's the worst.
Well, this is why my plan needs to get enacted.
What's your plan?
It's a database of everybody who's gotten the vaccine, right? And then you start hitting them up kind of a la TaskRabbit for things that you need that you can't get from a non-vaccinated person.
Okay.
Like you write to a senior or somebody with a compromised immune system who's gotten their second dose of the vaccine. And you say, hey, I know you're not a massage therapist, but could I pay you $100 to just rub my body for an hour as best you can?
I'm not having a senior rub my body or do my errands.
Hey, listen, I know that you were recently in a nursing home, but maybe because you've been lonely the last few years since your family incarcerated you in that home, maybe you'd like to come by my house and give me your best haircut. You know, just kind of snip at the hair. I'm not worried about it.
All right, well, we're in the woods and...
We're having a good time.
I wouldn't call it a good time.
Well, you're in the woods. I'm back, but I just got back from a big trip, actually.
What's your trip?
Oh, I went to D.C. last week.
You did
I was
not.
in D.C. for the Stop the Steal rally.
Shut up.
And
That's
things
not
got
even
a little
funny.
Things did get a little out of control, I will admit. But I saw some of the inner sanctums of how our democracy works.
Okay, Moshe's kidding. But I'm not kidding when I say that Moshe, truly, you pretty much we're potted with another family, Jeremy's family. You mansplain to the 10-year-old girls kind of all day long.
What do you mean I mansplain?
You're like always
It's called, honey, it's called adult splaining, a.k.a. I'm an adult. You have to splain to a child. They don't know anything.
Well, I'm glad we only have one kid because it feels like you just are constantly like telling them, don't make a mess. Like I think kids sometimes just need to like do their
Don't
thing.
make a mess. That's the thing you're critiquing me for telling a child. Don't make a mess in my cabin.
Well, you were just like telling them how to make their cake. I mean, the cake's obviously going to be bad. Just let them like do their thing for an hour. Why micromanage how much honey or flour they're going to put into a cake that's going to be inedible?
Forgot to put sugar in the cake.
Even if she put sugar, it would still taste like fucking butt.
Yeah, you're right, honey. I'm sorry.
Who cares?
No, you're right. You know what's up when it comes to child psychology. Like for example, today when you told the exact same girl that what was it? Her singing voice was off and she needed to take some lessons to get her pitch under control.
I said she didn't have good pitch.
And she said she had bad pitch, and then I swear to God, Natasha started singing show tunes to show her what good sounding singing sounded like.
Well,
I've got plenty of nothing, and nothing's got plenty of me. There's no business.
I was singing that.
She was like making eye contact with the girl while she did it.
But here's the thing. I just think that kids start to drive you to those places. I remember my mom being...
so sympathy for you.
I remember my mom being driven to like crazy places of like just breakdown.
I believe the line was, oh, actually, no, I have a good voice. I've been professionally paid to sing.
Well, that's because they're like, can I sing you a song? Can I sing you a song? I'm like, no, not right now. Can I sing you a song? Can I sing you a song? Okay, I'm going to sing the song. And I already told her to not sing it to me because I was doing something else.
Here's the worst part. I got to check to make sure these kids aren't... Just got to make sure these kids aren't around. The worst part of it all is Natasha's in there. And she's like, work on your pitch, babe. This is showbiz. Come back when you can hit a note. She's smoking a more cigarette and having a martini. And then she goes, and then the kid gets upset after you left.
From me?
Natasha bailed. The kid gets upset. She's like, they told me... She's like, they told me my singing voice was terrible.
I didn't say terrible.
And I said that. I said, now now you're not telling the truth there. No one said your singing voice was terrible. And then I was trying to actually save you and not throw you under the bus. I was like, all I said was, because the kid was doing this thing after Natasha crushed her dreams, where she was like, she put the kid, I don't know if all kids do this, but she put her headphones on and put on YouTube songs and was like singing, like rapping LMFAO style, like adolescent rap, like about zombies, while making like hardcore eye contact with me, like hoping that I'd be like, great, that's great job. I mean, for like 20 minutes, it was so loud. I was like, you gotta go. Like, you gotta go.
That's what I mean. They push you to a place where you're like, stop it, you suck.
There's no business like show business. They push you to a place where you start belting out "Hello Dolly." But anyway, then I was.
They don't suck, but I'm just saying,
I kicked her out of the house.
I have high standards.
I kicked her out of the house because we said, honey, we've seen Broadway. Okay, you gotta go. But she finally, I was like, you can't just sit and take us hostage by singing karaoke with headphones on for an hour. If you want to sing, go to the other. There's an RV, like a trailer here. Like, go to the RV. She gets all upset. She starts saying, they said my voice stinks. And I said, look, we didn't say that, which we didn't. We did not say that. And then she looks me in the eyes. And no, she goes outside and talks to her mom for a while. She looks me, her mom comes back in and goes, okay, ask him. She looks me in the eyes and she goes, Moshe, what do you think of my singing voice? Which is 100% Natasha's fault.
The second I heard that, I just shut the door and came in the trailer.
Because I don't know what to say. I'm kind of on the spot here, you know?
And you have a lot of opinions.
I mean,
it's got to be hard for you to like put the safety latch on your tongue.
Oh, me? Yeah, this conversation didn't go the way you wanted it to, and you're trying to get it back on me.
So what did you say?
I stammered for a while. I was like, dude, you know that thing you do where you start asking questions while you formulate a thought? You know, it's like, what do I think? What do I think of your? What do I think of your singing? I said, I couldn't muster more than, I don't have any feelings about your singing voice.
That's good.
Is it good?
Well, I would have been like, well, I just said that you need to work on your pitch. And like, I don't even really understand what pitch is. So like, I don't want to get into like a big conversation about pitch.
You didn't know what you meant when you gave her the advice?
It just sounded like an easy thing to say that was like not that nice.
That's true. Anyway, I said I don't have any feelings on your singing voice. I never mentioned your singing voice. All I said was that you can't do karaoke to Bruno Mars songs for an hour.
Well, here's the thing that I'm learning. I grew up with 3 kids. My whole life was very chaotic with the kids. Like, it was always like, this one was bad, I'm in charge, there's no parent around, I gotta like clean, or then I'm in trouble myself. And it's just like, everything was so chaotic. I never wanted to have kids. I love our small family. I love just having one little angel. I love like, if I want to be quiet, I'm like, okay, let's put on a little show for you, and she can do something and I can do something. There's not like, but some people really like that. Some people really like to have a constant,
the organized chaos of a big family.
Of a family, and like, I want to give me that bit. I was like that, and then add on
There's
top
no
of that
business.
Terrible music. Like, I'm not listening to Bruno Mars, or every day they ask me to put on the same Justin Timberlake song, or they're like, I'll like be putting on like Charles Mingus, and they're like, can you play Happy? You'll love it. I go, I already know that song. I don't love it. I don't want to listen to that song. I'm trying to have you actually have better taste and listen to a good song. And they're like, this sounds, and then we were playing Neil Young today. They're like, this sounds like the 80s. But then it's like, Neil Young is, it's so hard to imagine that Bruno Mars is better than Neil Young.
In your mind, you mean? Because he's not.
Well, I just can't. I can't really get into a conversation with a 9-year-old about it. Like,
well,
I don't know. Like, I feel like my kid's 2, and I just play Neil Young for her, and she doesn't know about Bruno Mars.
I will say that it was weird when you started trying to break down the musicology and the rhythmic timbre of Charles Mingus with the 9-year-old. I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, you mentioned this Charles Mingus thing. I'm like, I've never heard you play Charles Mingus ever.
No, I'm just saying like jazz, or like we're trying to play like,
no, I'm joking.
different
I know.
things for them. We
did play Coltrane the other day, and we were trying to play Nina Simone, and we were trying to play what else? We played some Neil Young. And
do you know Happy?
Brothers. It is very funny to be like, do you?
Oh, sorry. That's my alarm to check for ticks. I'm having a great time here in the woods.
Oh, no. Natasha came down the other day in the middle of the night. She'd already gone to bed. I start getting all these text messages about ticks. And then she comes
From
down,
me.
from Natasha. She's already asleep. She comes downstairs and she's like, I don't think I can do this. The ticks. I'm not meant for the outdoors. And I was like, well, we can go home. But I just want you to know that we had this very same conversation 6 months ago in this same house at the same exact thing, but it was a mountain lion. You were like, we have to go because of the mountain lion. We have to go because of the ticks.
Well, what's crazy to me that a mountain lion is so scary, but somehow a tick is even scarier. They come in the season. We saw one in the RV that we're sitting in right now.
We might be getting infected with Lyme's disease as we speak.
And then the people we're staying with...
Is it Lyme disease or Lyme's?
I don't know, but it seems really bad. And the people we're staying with are just like, yeah, just check for ticks every night. So, like, I'm trying to remember to do that, but you know how things go. Like, and a tick is so tiny, and the tiny ones, which is the ones we have, are the ones that carry Lyme's disease.
Is it Lyme disease?
Lyme's disease.
Lyme's disease.
And they said they love to get into your hair. I mean, I've got like a bunch of dark hair. How am I ever going to find a centimeter tall spider in my head? Like, it just feels impossible to keep track of it all. Like,
I have bad news for you too about the ticks. And I know this is going to seem like a joke, but honestly, it really isn't. Apparently, if they're very attracted to people who've been paid professionally to sing. Anybody that has professional singing background at all, that's why those kids sing like that. They're trying to ward off ticks.
Okay, I want everyone right now to download Neil Young, Harvest Moon. Listen to that. And then put on...
Are we edifying our audience?
Size Gangnam Style.
And see which one.
I don't think it's even like... It's not a question. Just like, I can't deal with children and their bad taste.
I mean, you know what they play here, I would say, kids. All the time?
I do actually really love the kids, and I love having my child play with them. And I love, talking to them. And I love when Moshe starts arguing with the 10-year-old about how much flour goes into a
I'm not arguing.
Patty cake. It's like a fake cake.
I'm not arguing. I was trying to help them cook a good cake. I said, hey, you might want to put sugar in your cake.
How'd that cake taste to you once they put the sugar in?
Listen, the cake definitely has some issues. You ever see Hell's Kitchen where he takes a bite of one of the dishes and then has to spit it out because he's so offended by it? That's what happened to me when I tasted this cake. I mean, imagine what it would have been like if I hadn't been involved. Natasha, I think you're doing a great job. You think I'm mansplaining? I don't know. It's a lot to deal with, to all of a sudden be living in a family with 3 extra children all day long. And they do this thing. Do all kids do this? They do this thing where they monologue. And I was like,
well, they're so excited to like talk to us.
To talk. And I said to one of them the other day, I go, you know how you know a conversation is good is when you say something, then you stop, and then the person you're talking to says something back. It's not when you talk and talk and talk, and the person just sits there and has to listen.
But it's so easy to say that to someone else's kid. But would you say that to your darling child?
Fuck yes, I would.
I wouldn't.
If our child was talking, monologuing at us,
I'd probably think it was fascinating.
Hell no. Although I will say tonight, kids are diabolical. You think our kid's an angel? Tonight, our kid was spitting on the other kid's face. They were like spitting in each other's face, which is like big time no for me. Like any spit related stuff, I'm not into. So I took her upstairs to give her like a little like one-on-one timeout, our kid, and I was just like, you cannot spit. You cannot spit inside the house. And she started turning on the charm. She's like, can you spit in a hot tub? And I was like, no, you can't. She goes, can you spit in a blanket? I go, and it's like, it's clearly a ploy. It's a ploy because I was being charmed by it, It's like a ploy to make me like get off the topic. So she's going to like double down on like inane cuteness, and I'm just going to be like, just come on, chip off the old block. Just try your best and walk away. But that's not what happened. I said, listen, you motherfucker, you keep spitting, you stop eating. And I think she got the message.
Moshe's kidding, of course. And, we're having a great time. It's just, I guess my point is, I never wanted a family more than like one person or maybe two. So that's why it's like, but I think that like some people, that was their dream their whole life. So when people are like, my dentist was like, one kid, that's not even a family. I'm like, what? That's all I ever wanted. Like, I do think that people think or people just dream about having a lot of kids, and I think it's unnecessary.
Well, it's not unnecessary for others. It's not right for us.
That's
and I think
true.
We are grateful to now be fully aware of the fact that our teeny tiny little family is the perfect size for us.
But here's what I love about it.
That a blessing.
That is a blessing. But also, here's the thing. She's a single child. So like maybe it's such a blessing to be able to have another family to like pod with, so she can know what it's like to be in a big family and have fun in a family, but then we can always go back to do our own thing.
We can bounce back to Isolation City.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that matters, Los Angeles. I mean, look, that's why I welcome these tics. More the merrier. More family.
The
more
tics
friends.
Are a bit of an issue for me. If
More
anyone
critters.
has any tips on tics.
Now, that would be funny if we got inundated with emails.
Well, it just seems like completely impossible to be dealing with COVID separation everywhere you go, and then also every night if this like minuscule spider thing gets into your skin, if you don't check it, it takes 24 hours for it to like dig deep into your skin, and like I guess you get Lyme's disease. And what does that even mean? It always seems like such like an illness that lasts your whole life.
No,
that like crumbles your life.
No, Lyme. No.
That's Lyme?
No, we don't want to really get into this topic, but there is a difference between Lyme disease or Lyme's disease. I do not know. The kind of the classic illness that people talk about when they talk about tick-related, you got bit by a tick, you got Lyme disease, that you can treat. And there's I'm not going to say another disease, but there is a controversial idea that there's also something called chronic Lyme.
And is that from Lyme's disease, from the ticks?
Well,
that's scary.
That there's something called chronic Lyme that despite the fact that you can treat Lyme disease, chronic Lyme stays with you for years, months, decades, and is just incurable and has a sort of cascading effect of symptoms that run the gamut from pain to nausea to seizure to hair loss to everything. And that is a whole other topic.
So every night we're here, no matter what, I have to remember in the evening to check my daughter's full body and her entire scalp all around her hair for like a 1 centimeter little spider bug that could have like latched into her head.
Well,
that is something that I don't feel up for.
Then let's go home. Let's go catch COVID.
All right, well, let's take a call instead.
Let's see what these people are doing. Okay, now we are going to call Adeline in Pattersonville, New York.
Hello?
Adeline?
Am I there?
Yeah, we don't see video of you. Is that on purpose?
No, that's not on purpose. Hang on.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Adeline. How's it going?
How are you?
Good.
Good. I'm nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. We're in a trailer right now.
I know. I'm kind of jealous.
Come join us. What's Pattersonville like? Honestly, Pattersonville feels like it has one too many syllables in it. Doesn't it feel like it should have just been
Patterson?
Yeah, Patterson or Patterville. I didn't need the Pattersonville.
Yeah, I get that. There's a nice like I don't know, it's some kind of like Pattersonville camp. I didn't go there, but that's like the best thing they have.
Oh, the best thing in town is a kids camp?
How close are you to
A
New York
kids
City?
camp.
That's all I ever care about when someone says they live in New York.
About 3 hours.
Okay, that's respectable.
What do you
You
mean?
Yeah, not bad.
I'm just saying, like, if she wants to like go to the Met and like, do something civilized, she's like a train. Is there a train?
Yeah, there's a train in Schenectady. You would go to Schenectady or Albany to get the train.
Yeah. Oh, Albany. I don't like that place.
Let me ask you this, Adeline. When's the last time you bopped into Schenectady and took the train in to the Met for an afternoon?
I actually did it for my birthday. Well, I took the train from Albany, not Schenectady, but I did it for my birthday, not last year because of COVID, but the year before that. I didn't go to the Met, but I went to New York City.
Okay. All right.
I mean, to be that close to not just a great city, but the greatest city in the world, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I can't wait to go back if we ever get to go back.
Unfortunately, we're here to tell you that things are never going to change.
Right. The vaccine's actually a lie, we've heard. Well, as soon as Biden is inaugurated, we're all going to figure out that the whole virus thing was just a long-term scam to get him in. So that could be good.
Okay, what's going on?
Adeline, talk to us.
All right.
Are you wearing a kimono?
So I am wearing a kimono. I'm at a crossroads between if I want to buy an RV and live in it full time and travel and like live that life, or buy a house with a little bit of land, not like too much, and try to like live off the land and grow like as much as my own food as I can and maybe have like chickens and but I have no experience in either of them.
And you have a husband?
And my boyfriend and I, not a husband, but I have a boyfriend. We have a 1-year-old daughter.
Wait. Stop there. Stop right there. Stop right there, Adeline. You aren't married and have a daughter? Okay, you need advice on a different topic, and that's how to find Christ in your life. Okay, so you guys have a 1-year-old. Okay, that changes the decision. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. If we didn't have her, I think I would have already been like, honey, I bought an RV and this is what we're gonna go do. But with with her, it's a little bit of a different decision. And I'm more of like, let's have a rough plan and we'll figure it out as we go. And he's more of like, you got to have a solid plan and like everything's got to be set in stone.
And you're thinking of selling or taking your money that you have and just kind of traveling around?
Right now we live with my parents to save money, which was originally to buy a house. But with COVID, it made me really want to like kind of get an RV and like figure out like just like not be tied down anywhere and just be able to explore.
I feel like I know what you should do already.
I'm very curious. I have some questions, but I want to know what Natasha thinks.
Well, not to jump the gun, but I do think that like until September, I just think that the world's going to be kind of like really lame and the same as it is now. Like I just feel like we have another like long stretch of time and you're living at your parents' house. Like why don't you get an RV? And is he handy enough to like fix things if it breaks down?
100% it's not.
Oh.
Adeline, you didn't need to say it like that. On behalf
well, maybe you need to get a newer one.
A newer boyfriend, somebody that can change the oil.
Well, I just think like if your choice right now is to like with a 1-year-old who's not really even a toddler yet, it's still pretty easy to like kind of move around with them.
Right.
And you have all this time stretched in front of you. You're staying at your parents' house. Like that would drive me crazy. I just feel like just go now. And then you can like, then come the holidays next year, things might start to get normal again. Maybe you can keep your RV. Maybe you'll have to sell it. Like also keep that in mind when you buy it. This is something I want to buy, but I want to be able to like resell it too if I have to.
Okay. I actually, there's some very deep wisdom to what Natasha's saying. Like if you're unsure whether to ground yourself or whether to float, now is the time to figure out if floating is the right life for you.
Yeah,
because
see how it goes till November.
Because we're all a bit unmoored right now. But I actually have some more practical questions. What do you do for work?
So we both work. So that's what's the hardest part about it is we both work for local companies. So he works for a locally owned restaurant and pizza shop that he's actually been working. It's his first and only job. He's been there for I think 15 years. And I work for a locally owned consignment shop, and we both love our jobs.
And you do it from home on the computer?
Oh, you must
no,
work.
We both go.
You must work at Pattersonville's Kimonos, right?
Yeah.
I know that place. That's a great place. One of the best places to buy a kimono in Pattersonville, New York.
Wait, you guys go into your jobs, but you're thinking of getting an RV, your jobs that you love, and you want to get an RV and leave?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Well, I'm like, how are you going to pay pay for your life if you are in an RV traveling like a bohemian?
So that's the logistics that like he's like we have to figure out, which I've kind of roughly figured out. So there's like a program called, I think it's called Woofy or Woofs or something like that, where you can like work on farms and you're able to stay there for free and get paid. And I've looked into I could easily get like a customer service job that I could work from the computer, but I don't want to do that unless I know we're definitely taking off.
Adeline, these are not logistics.
You're gonna get raped.
Well, Jesus Christ. Natasha.
She's gonna go to random farms, this hot chick, and just be like, I'm here to work for my money, for my dinner.
What you don't see is that underneath that kimono, she's got a samurai sword. It's not a kimono, it's a samurai outfit. She can take care of herself.
I don't trust, like, the way the world is right now for you for the next 7 months, just like going to people's farms.
I trust that, but I'm less of a warrior than you are.
I have become like a huge warrior, and I'm very ashamed of that.
Well, she'd be with her boyfriend too, her useless pizza delivering boyfriend. Wait, yeah, I think what you're calling logistics is not the details. That's whether or not this is even at all a reasonable plan. You have to be able to support yourself and your child, pay for it. Do you have health care?
Yeah.
So you guys have health insurance. Just saying, like, God forbid your kid could get sick, or like some things happen when you're traveling around, and you have to have a plan. So you're saying your plan is...
Yeah, well, so my rough plan was like, because my parents, where we're staying right now, my parents have 5 acres. So like my rough plan was to get the RV, and I would probably get like a customer service job that I would work from home that I could do from the RV. And then he would do like the woofy stuff where we could stay for free, and kind of like, that's how we would figure out our locations. But my thought was the first year we would kind of like stay on my parents' property and go more so local, so we could figure out the ins and outs of the RV before we just like take. And my dad is very handy, so if we stayed within like a couple hours, that he could teach him the mechanics, and then we would like take off.
I mean, just so you know, Moshe and I are like in an RV right now. We're kind of like using it as our private space. You know, so we don't have to like hang out with everybody else.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
No, but I'm just saying.
I mean, it's good. This is the highlight.
But I'm just saying, it's like it could be a haven. Like if you kind of tell people the kind of RV you got, Moshe, I really like this kind because it has like a huge kick-it space. You know, you can kind of just like be hanging
it's teeny.
out.
I mean, most people want.
And also, you can drive it, so you don't have to tow it, and you could actually have it in your parents' yard and like build a deck off it if you wanted to.
I feel like most people want something bigger than what we're in right now. I have a really small one. I have a tick-sized RV. But
there are ticks in here. I forgot about that.
Adeline, the other plan you're saying is to buy a farm, but you don't know anything about farming. Is that right?
Correct. Well, I grew cucumbers last summer, and I grew tomatoes last summer.
You could do a cucumber tomato farm.
You're interested though.
Yeah.
Hey, I've tried to grow both of those and have completely failed.
Yeah, just do
So if you really did that, that's kind of cool.
Do an Israeli salad farm. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So your part of your plan is to hit the road and learn how to farm in this Wolfie app. And you'll learn what you need by the time you come back to Pattersonville to settle down in the life of a farmer.
Yeah.
Well, okay. All right. So I have my thoughts now. I mean, I think your plan sounds irresponsible. The RV thing.
Why? She's living at her parents' house.
Well, let me finish my thoughts here. I think your plan sounds irresponsible. And although I do like the idea that you're going to buy an RV but then stay in your parents' front yard. It's kind of like camping. When you're a little kid, you want to go camping, but you don't know how to camp, so you go put a tent in the front yard. It's like a $75,000 version of that. But then eventually you'll hit the road. You'll have an adventure. You'll learn how to farm, and then you'll come back and you'll finally settle down and somehow make enough money to buy a house. Is that kind of the fantasy?
Yeah, I guess. Or just keep traveling. I just feel like we've never really traveled much, and I feel like I just want to see as much as I can, and and go to, I'm an Elks member, so you can stay at like the Elks for free. Like you can park there overnight. Not that that's like the best thing, but it's kind of like a way that you can stay for free and travel around the country.
First of all, I want to say I knew you were a fellow elk. Hearty elk's horn to you. I knew it at the minute you came up on the screen. Okay, this is what I was going to say. I think your plan is irresponsible, but How old are you?
30.
30. Not as young as I wanted you to be, but well, because you could be 19. I mean, you have one of those faces where you could be 19 or you could be 30. No one really knows.
Yeah.
But that said, I think a lot of people waste their lives away trying to enact plans that are responsible and ultimately unfulfilling, and people end up having like a conveyor belt life where it's like, I am born, I go to school, I go to college, I find a mate, I marry mate, I find a job, I have a kid, I get old, I die. And it's like, I just think like if your heart is calling you to like hit the road, it's not a terribly responsible idea. But especially because it's got this component of I'm going to learn how to farm that will eventually set me up for an actual responsible life. If you really do that thing where you go to work.
Well, it's not so much the woofie wasn't so much learning how to farm. It was just like in the researching of like, how do you live this like full-time RV lifestyle? I stumbled upon that, and that's a way to like, versus having to pay for campgrounds, and that can get expensive, having to constantly pay. That was a way to kind of, you get paid and stay for free.
Yeah. Okay, so you found a hustle, but what I'm saying is maybe you've missed out on the fact that your dichotomous choice was, I want to do this adventure, or should I get a farm? And the truth is, I don't really know how to farm, and I don't know how to RV. Like, I don't know how to do this RV lifestyle thing.
Here's the thing about the RV lifestyle. I clean this thing like every day, and it's still like looks like borderline insane at all moments. Do you know what I mean? Like that. That's just like,
yeah.
If you're down, if you're down for that, but you don't really know if you are yet. And the other thing I have to say that I realized when you were saying this, it's probably kind of controversial, is that
the COVID-19 vaccine is actually a cyber chip from Bill Gates.
No, it's that, one of the reasons that I waited till I was in my 40s to have a kid is because I wanted to be able to like travel really light, because that was like really important to me to like not have any responsibility. Yeah. So it's like you have a 1-year-old. So you just have to, but like everyone's different. Like I don't think I would be able to be on the road with a 1-year-old and like be able, but maybe a toddler would be way harder. One might be the perfect age, but I just feel, then I see the mom that we're potted with right now, and she's got 3 kids and she loves the chaos, and it's like she's like kind of trusting in a way that I'm like more fearful, and the outdoors is a scary place, and you're stopping in these like strange places every night, and then you're expected to work, and then who's watching your baby, and there's just a lot involved. So if you think that you can handle that and you're that type of person, I'm not. But if you are, it, and you're like an earth mother, and you should do it, because now is a terrible time to be living with your parents.
Well, that's what I was trying to say, is so many people have this life where they make the right decision, but it's an ultimately unfulfilling decision that, just like Natasha said, moving into an RV full time with your boyfriend and baby is going to be so fucking difficult. You're going to be straight up impoverished. Like, you're going to be broke as fuck and struggling. But you're also going to have like adventures, and you're going to have time with your kid that's going to be like super fulfilling, and you never, ever, ever would have had that kind of time if you were in the workforce. You're going to have like this hyper connectivity to this kid, and eventually you're going to realize that the adventure runs out, and you're going to start drinking too heavily, and you're going to start having health problems, and you're going to probably end up taking the RV back to your parents' farm.
But then her parents will die, and she'll get the 5 acres.
No, at that point you'll be written out of the will because of some of the decisions you made while on the road. And so right before they do die, they'll tell you they want you to move out, and you say, but you're dying, I'm here to care for you. And they'll say, we actually would prefer to pay a full-time hospice stranger to come in than have you in our home any longer. But anyway, that's years away. And I kind of feel like Natasha said, if you feel like you can handle the hard part, and it will be super hard. Obviously, I was joking about all the other stuff, but it'll be super hard. But if you feel like you can do it, I just sort of feel like, why not listen to what your heart is telling you about having an adventure? The good news about buying a used RV, don't buy new. Buying a used RV that's mechanically sound. Don't buy an RV that will break down on you.
And Moshe, when he says RV, he means something that has the driving thing connected to the whole thing. It's not like a
trailer.
Yeah.
But everybody, I think
not everybody knows.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, make sure you get something that will not break down on you. Like that cannot be your life. It's like calling AAA with no job. That just is, because there's no app.
I did that for 5 years.
Yeah, there's no app for that. They don't have an app where you can you clean up the grease at a mechanic shop and they'll fix your RV. You have to fuck the mechanic. So if you can do it, if you can get an RV that won't break down on you, and you can find a way to make ends meet, and you can go have an adventure, I sort of feel like, why not have an exciting life? Even if it's a failure, it'll be a success. Oh, and what I was going to say is, the right RV, if you shop correctly, especially if you get something like what I got, which is a Class B, one of these small ones, although that'll drive you more crazy, but something my point is, forget the classification of the RV. You can sell the RV for what you bought it for. This could be a spectacular failure, and as long as your engine hasn't melted down, in a year you could say, wow, I'm fucking stupid.
Moshe, you already did that once.
Yeah. You could just be like, what an idiot I was. I should never have done that. I'll sell it and I'll move back in with my parents, and you'll be exactly in the same position you were in when you made this fateful call.
Richer, because they have experiences.
Rich with experience.
You're not like fighting with your mom over that tile she put in the backsplash.
Well, and now's the time too. If you're going to do it, you got to do it now, because eventually your kid is going to be of elementary school age in 6 years. Your kid's going to be in elementary school age, and you're going to have to make a decision like, am I going to send my child to I have to either send my child to school or become one of those weird homeschool moms, which you probably are going to end up being already.
I am going to be a weird homeschool mom. We've already decided that.
Well, so all right. So there you go. You're built for RVing. Get on the road.
So do you recommend pulling a car so that when you do want to go on adventures, when you're like out in the RV life, that you can take a car and go to like different locations and you don't have to like pack up the whole house?
I think you've pretty much hit the nail on the head of what's wrong with the RV world. Nothing's perfect. So it's like you get to your cool little spot and then it's like, okay, now we're going to go somewhere. Now let's batten everything up and then go somewhere. Like that sucks. Ideally, you'd have like some kind of moped, but we don't live in Europe. And
you could strap your 1-year-old to a moped. And
right. And that's the problem
RVs.
with the 1-year-old. And then Moshe, the whole reason we have this RV is because there wasn't a spot for the kids, the baby seat, because people said that if we got into an accident, this whole area would just separate from the front. So like we don't want to put the baby in the back where we're sitting. So anyway, it's like it's nothing's ideal.
Well, you're tuned into the Endless RV Talk podcast.
Okay, that's all the RV talk. I think that we gave you all of our wisdom, and I really hope that you do it and take the next year off.
Yeah.
In a safe way, like I think there's going to be, I feel like there's less expected of us right now. And this is like a really fun opportunity to kind of like check out a little bit, because there's so much happening in the world and everyone's trying to get vaccinated. And we also all have to socially distance right now. And there's like potential chaos happening at every moment. So like, just laying low. And if you want to go on like a nature, and also so many beautiful places exist in America. And, why not? Just if not now, when? You'll never go anywhere. And that's such a safe way to travel right now because, who wants to get on a plane? And we have a huge country.
You ever see, and a beautiful country in every way. Every part of this country right now especially is kind of like, I would say, a perfect flower. So let's get out there. Let's meet these people that we have not yet met, right? Like last Wednesday, we saw a really cool smattering of people that you could encounter on the road. Like you might meet some of the very people that stormed the Capitol last week. And doesn't that sound
all
fun?
right. Well, anyway, good luck. Keep us posted.
Let us know. And I think I always vote for the less responsible, more experiential choice in life, because eventually you're just going to die.
And I don't want to die only ever seeing Pattersonville.
Amen. You're not going to be on your deathbed saying, I wish I'd sold more kimonos at Pattersonville's Kimonos. You're going to say, why didn't I sign up to Woofy.com, send my husband out to do the manual labor while I laze around in an RV answering phones?
Yes.
I like that idea.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye, Adeline.
Bye.
She's a hippie mama.
Right. That's why it's hard for me to give advice to someone like that, because I'm like an 80-year-old woman who's lived on the Upper East Side her whole life in my soul.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like wanting to be very secure and safe, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm always like, it's very hard for me in terms of motherhood. It's very hard for me to go the hippie route. Like, I'm more hippie in my life, in my artistic life, than I am in my motherhood. My motherhood is like, I become like very like
Jewish is the word you're looking for.
I'm just trying to keep her safe, and it's like my main priority and my obsession, and it's exhausting.
Well, I was about to tell her about this documentary. Maybe she'll listen to it when it comes out. Called Maiden Voyage. Did you see that with me?
Mm-hmm. I know. I would have never let my kid do that.
Yeah, well, it's about the youngest girl ever to circumnavigate the globe in a sailboat by herself, and she's like 16 or something, and like she's Norwegian.
Her
and
parents were sailors.
Her parents were sailors and let her go, and the Norwegian government like tried to get involved and not let her go because it was like
she was going
abuse,
alone,
going by herself. And they ended up winning, and the case, and she sailed around the world. And on its face, you would go like, Jesus, I would never let my kid do that. But then like when you think about it a little more, you're like, there's so many people on this earth. There are billions of people on this earth, and so many of them are living the same version of life, just like struggling to find meaning in their life. And if you have the passion to have a great adventure and the privilege and ability to be able to like think about affording it in some way, even if it means barely affording it, I just feel like life is so short, and why would you not? I feel lucky that my life has been filled with so many cool adventures, and I haven't had to go the bohemian route to find them. But that's why people become like listless hippies, is because they're looking for the kind of experiences that will make their lives feel meaningful. And I don't mean to say that it's not possible to have a meaningful life without like wild adventures, but having wild adventures is a shortcut to having meaningful experiences. And
I get what you're saying, but having wild adventures when you like have a toddler, like I don't really understand. It just feels like you're much more limited, aren't you?
No, the wild adventure when you have a toddler is a different kind of adventure. When you're young, it's about going to shows and taking drugs and partying and fucking everybody that you can and traveling the world without any money. I mean, that's the kind of experiences that you have when you're young and trying to have, these varied life experiences. But when you're older and you have kids, it becomes a little different, Of course, it becomes about like this person going to a farm and working the land and spending time with their kid and, traveling around and camping and seeing the beauty that the world has to offer, spending time in nature. Like, none of those are like wild rave days. Those are just... But they're just not like, I clock in, I work 8 hours, I clock out, I go home, I watch TV, I go to bed. On the weekends, I try to find an experience that is fun. I'm not saying that having a job is the defining characteristic of a meaningful life, right? That's why people have hobbies, and that's why people have passions, and why people have great love. Obviously, most people don't have the privilege to be able to go, oh, I'm going to just like check out and go have adventures. Most people, especially if you're poor, which is how both of us grew up, you're like locked into this life experience where you're like, I have to do this stuff to survive. And I guess I'm saying like, if you can survive and not be locked into sort of wage slavery, like why not have a weird and offbeat life?
I agree. I just think that it's really hard. Like, I was talking to a friend whose husband has this like really beautiful place on a deserted island, and I was like, oh, off the coast of Georgia, and I was like, why don't you want to go there? It's so amazing there. And then she was like, well, I have a 2-year-old, and what if it's an island? What if he's got an EpiPen? What if he needs a doctor? And then I was like, wow, I never thought of that when I stayed there with a friend on that really special place. It's called Little Cumberland off the coast of Georgia. I was like, this is so amazing. Why would anyone not want to go back? And then when she said that, I was like, oh yeah, I would probably now would be afraid to go there with my child. What if something went wrong and there's no doctor except on a ferry? You've got to leave the ferry twice a week to like get off the island, and then all these other things. Then you're like traveling with a 1-year-old, and I don't know, it just, everything feels so hard and complicated.
Right. Adventure is difficult and dangerous for sure, and it's
when you have a baby,
and it's also, but even not with a baby, it's not for everybody. I mean, it's not. I've had a really cool, fun life, but it's never included like I don't have an address. I just go where the wind takes me. I'm like, you know, I've always had a job and I've always like worked and been able to have adventures within that framework. But like, and by the way, I've been, you know, I don't want it to sound elitist when I'm saying like some people's are struggling to find meaning in their life. Like some of those people are very wealthy. Some of the people that are have zero meaning in their life are people who make $200,000, $300,000, $600,000 a year. I mean, those people have an easier version of the meaningless life than do people that are trapped at, you know, like a greeter position at Walmart and they have to go because that's the only way that their health care gets covered. I don't even know. Does Walmart cover health care? Seems unlikely. You know what I'm saying?
Starbucks does.
But and not trying to say also that the only way to having meaning is fun. Like, you know, that's why people learn to meditate. That's why people get into religion. That's why people, you know, these are the things that man wants meaning in a life that feels kind of sometimes like it lacks that meaning. And that's why, you know, we educate ourselves. That's why we find, you know, value in relationships. Like it's kind of the human condition in a way, I think, is like this kind of quest to find out if life has anything more than just waking up and going to bed. Luckily, I'm pretty happy and have been, I think, my whole life. I've never felt like a lack of meaning, but I do know that a lot of people feel that way. And I do feel like a shortcut to that. There's a million different shortcuts, but a shortcut to that is going and having experiences. So I always support that. My point was about the Maiden Voyage thing was like this. On the face of it, you go, I would never let my kid do that. But then you think, you know, so many people take the safe choice. And if this is the thing that you find meaning from, even if it's something dangerous, I kind of think like, fuck it, go for it.
I hear you.
What should we do now?
How I've lived my whole life.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it.
Until I had a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'll do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'll move wherever I want. I always have like $700 a month I have to pay, you know, for rent. You know, you're traveling light. It's an easy way to have adventures. I'm just saying, once you start having a family, it feels like it gets comkomplicated.
Do you want?
I don't have to keep telling you that.
No, I mean,
Moshe,
I
I
really
want you
get
to
it.
get a real job.
What do you mean?
No, I know. That just sounds like I'm like, no, I'm just really not happy with the bohemian lifestyle.
We don't have a bohemian lifestyle.
I
mean,
always
we are
felt like
inside of a trailer with Westphalia print cloth on the cushions.
Moshe switched from chewing gum Nicorette to the Pixatine toothpicks.
I'm trying. I'm seeing if I can wean myself off the gum using toothpicks.
He did try to kiss me the other night with a toothpick in his mouth, and then he just like made it like into his whole mouth, so he could still kiss me with his
like
lips.
This. I kind of went, oh.
And I was like, no, unacceptable.
Tosh, should we listen to some secrets? I mean, we should change the subject, I think.
Okay, let's listen to
We
a
got
secret.
kind of like glamored by Adeline, and we just talked to her for like 45 minutes and started talking about the human condition. I don't know what happened. Should we do some secrets and call it a show, or should we do another call?
No, let's do some secrets.
Okay, we're going to do some secrets.
This Pixatine is really strong.
I don't find it that strong. I wish it was stronger. Maybe I should do 2.
They do taste better on like the third try.
Hey, let's give it a whirl. Let's listen to some secrets.
Hey, Mose, Tosh, big fan. Sitting here right now, driving, and that actually has to do with my secret. My wife and I have a 2-year-old, and he doesn't go to sleep. He doesn't nap, and it's an issue with the relationship. We fight about it. It causes problems sometimes. You know, it's just a stressful thing. One of the things I find that gets him to sleep actually is, you know, throw him in the car, put him in the car seat, and bam, I can get like 2 hours of nap out of him, and he's good for the rest of the day. Anyway, the secret is that my wife doesn't know that I do this basically every single day that I have him. And if she knew, she would just flip the fuck out. She doesn't think the baby should take his naps in the car. So anyway, I'm catching up on all the Endless Honeymoon podcasts as I'm lying to my wife and putting my son in the back of my car just so he can take a nap. And it's a really stupid secret, but it's one I'm not going to tell. All right, guys. Love you. Bye.
Where does his wife think he's taking the kid? He's
I
like,
think
oh,
she's gone.
she's gone.
Yeah, and he's like, probably she struggles. You know, I've noticed that, sometimes the mom figure will often be like, I work and I make these sacrifices. And then the dad figure will be like, I find the easiest way to do things and I just do that.
But honestly, the mom figure in this scenario seems a little unreasonable because if a kid is sleeping for 2 hours in a car, who cares?
And also, I think this guy is right. It's like, if you've got a secret
She seems a little too uptight.
that brings your life great joy and comfort and peace, and if you told your partner they'd freak out, the thing to do, keep that secret.
All right, let's hear another one.
Hey, Moshe and Natasha. This is a secret that I would like to tell. So I am 3 years sober from drugs and alcohol. But this morning, something happened. So I take herbal tinctures that are made with alcohol, grain alcohol. And, it's not usually a problem because it's such a small amount of, alcohol in the tincture that I take that, it's not like drinking alcohol. But this morning I had made breakfast, made coffee, and was just kind of mindlessly preparing myself like a little tincture drink, and ended up putting like way, way, way too much of my ginger tincture into my glass. And when I drank it, I could tell I was like, it felt like taking like a shot of alcohol. And I kind of like gagged and like I felt like weird and lightheaded. So now I'm just like, am I not sober anymore? Like I feel really like weird about it, and I don't want to tell anyone because I feel very ashamed. So I'm telling it here. I feel very weird. Okay. Thanks. I love you guys. Bye.
All right. I know this one.
Okay, what is it?
I know what the
Did
tincture.
she purposely do it?
Right. That is the part. That's a great question. You hone in on the exact problem. It's the word mindlessly. I'm like, you what? You were mindlessly mulling up a potion in your front. You know what I mean?
3 years sober.
It's just like, I take daily tinctures, but today I mindlessly put 19 times the amount that I usually do. Like, there I was grinding up the eye of newt, and I put the whole newt in. But let's take her at her word, right? Because only you, fair caller, can know whether or not you are being honest with this mindless thing. If we take you at your word that you drink these tinctures and they don't affect your sobriety, I guess that's probably a personal decision on taking a small amount of alcohol every day to take your, homeopathic, almost definitely meaningless tincture. So take her at her word. We used to have this idea in AA that in order to actually relapse, right, you needed to have two things. One is intent, and one is actualization, right? One of those two things is
Wait, you need to have both of them or one?
Both. You can't have
So
one.
I understand what intent is. What's actualization? Oh, actually doing it?
Let's say I intend to relapse,
Mhm.
right? I grab the bottle of vodka. I open it and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to drink. And I down the whole bottle and I realize, oh my God, that was water. I didn't relapse, obviously. But something's wrong. I'm in trouble. I need to call someone and talk to them about it, but I definitely am still sober. And that's actualization, right? You have to actualize it. And you have to also have intent. So if I'm at a party, one night, and there's an hors d'oeuvre, there's a dessert tray, and there's pumpkin pie and brownies, and I take the brownie, and somebody's like, oh my God, you ate the brownies? Those are hardcore weed brownies. Well, now I've got actualization, but no intent. So I am there.
So it's better to have actualization.
I don't know what's better. It's just if you care, and people in AA tend to care a lot about like continuous sobriety, something that the longer I've been sober, the less significant I feel like that is. Or it's not that it's insignificant. It is significant. It's just this obsession with how long consecutively you've been sober seems to become like a kind of weird, I would say arrogance or
get it, though.
Pride mark.
It's so easy because relapsing is what it is. It's not usually just one night.
Right. And
so you should be very proud of yourself, and I'm very proud of you,
thanks.
for being, I mean, that's really,
but I've drank many times over the past, I've been sober for so fucking long. The idea that I wouldn't accidentally have picked up a glass with booze in it this whole time, it's absurd. I've drank many times. Every night I accidentally drink a bottle of vodka right before I go to bed. And I don't have the intent, so I'm good. No, but I've picked up glasses I thought were grape juice. They were wine on Shabbat meals. I've taken, unfortunately, I've never done the part where I eat the weed brownie, which would actually be the awesome part. That would be the cool version.
But then that might make you want to relapse.
Yeah, maybe. But the version I do is like a sip of alcohol where I go like, yike. And then that's it. I mean, it's like, hey, how about somebody slip me some fucking Molly? You know what I mean? Let me have a nice, experience dancing to, the sounds of progressive house for 7 hours, No. Instead, I'm this little like, ugh, that tasted disgusting. Uh-oh. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, if we're taking this woman at her word that it was just some mindless mistake, then there's nothing to worry about. Tell everybody you want to. Oh my God, I drank a little bit of alcohol today accidentally. And everybody will go like, yeah, it's happened to me too. That's my point. And I guess my point is to ask all of the listeners of the Endless Honeymoon podcast to attempt to dose me.
Don't do that.
Yeah, go ahead and dose me.
Please don't do that.
If you do dose me, though, very low grade. I don't want to have a bad trip.
Don't dose him. I like you sober.
I would still be sober, is my point. It would just be these fucking animals that listen to this podcast that sabotaged me.
Now you can never eat any baked good from a podcast listener.
Or can I? Hey, you know what, guys?
No.
Okay, fine. I'll tell them.
Mrs. Fields cookies, do not send any more samples.
Okay, guys. Now that Natasha's given me a look, I'll tell you this. Don't dose me. Okay, don't dose.
All right, listen. Speaking of dosing each other, we have to put our kid to bed.
Wait, should we listen to one more secret? That'll be 3, and then we can wrap this bad boy up. Okay, one last secret.
Hi, guys. So my secret is that sometimes I just wish that my boyfriend wouldn't talk to me during sex. Like, sometimes he's really good at it, but other times he'll be like, oh, do you want my penis? And something about that word just really throws me off. I don't like it. So sometimes I just wish he'd keep it quiet. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Well, he should repeat it to the boyfriend and be in the word that he likes. Like, yeah, I want your fucking cock. Or like however he wants. He doesn't like penis, so try to correct it.
You always say, I want your fucking cock. You do. Do you not want me to mention that? You always say the same stuff to me every time. You're like, oh yeah, give me that tiny little cock. That thing is so small, it's like a tick that I found on me. That's what, right? But I know that doesn't represent how you feel about the size of it. That's just the way you like, that's your dirty talk stuff. It's your go-to, right?
Yeah.
He's a little tick-like thing, whatever that is. I can't even feel it, but I'll assume it's in.
Well, it's really hard to do dirty talk when you're a comedian. Because you want to like... your instinct is to make it funny.
Really? Your instinct during sex is to make it funny?
No, it's not. I'm just saying like my instinct.
What do you do for a living? Something like that.
No, I'm just saying it's
do a little
challenging.
Crowd work? That's interesting. That's very interesting. Interesting. I thought that he said at first, I wish my boyfriend wouldn't touch me during sex. And
he just doesn't like when he talks to him.
I think the secret here is to have if it's only penis, then you can have a conversation outside of the bedroom of like, sometimes we have dirty talk and you say penis. Can you say a different word?
Another thing you could do is, that's true, but another thing you could do is just like, don't ever answer them. then they'll just stop doing it, and then just like fuck and have fun.
That's very funny. The person's like, "You like this, don't you? You want more of this? You like that big penis in you?
Well, you could just like
Hello, are you okay?"
what your friend does with the Lyft driver, like just like answer
Dude,
like
if I was having
once.
sex with someone and I was having dirty talk and they stopped answering, I would check their pulse.
All right.
I like this idea though. No, it's funny. It's the funniest version of anything you could do. It's just like no response. You know what, honey? You want to hear some dirty talk from me?
Mm-hmm.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
This is gonna shock you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm about to talk real dirty to you. I love you.
I love you too.